like to welcome all board members and guests this morning. And we'll ask Mr. Raymond to open up the invocation, please.
Let's bow our heads. Thank you, dear God, for this day. Thank you for the wonderful blessing that you have bestowed upon this board, this organization. Bless us in your holy name. Thank you for our guests today. Hope that they can find justice in everything that we do. Thank you for the understanding, knowledge, and wisdom in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Roll call.
Jennifer Reed.
Present.
Nicole Godin.
Present.
Renee Bosworth.
Present.
Brittany Petrie.
Present.
Raymond Cozy.
Present.
Lauren Quinlan.
Present.
6 board members present, and there is a quorum.
Has everyone had a chance to look at the revised agenda this morning?
Yes. It's really just the consent agreements, correct?
Correct. We did one little last notification last minute. Ms. Kenya Ross would like to be discussed this morning. All in favor?
Wait, you got time? You got time?
Any opposed?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this gentleman was asking to be recognized.
Oh, hi. Good morning.
Good morning, how you doing?
Good.
All right, got it just in time, the traffic got to me, but you're going to advise the agenda, correct?
Yes.
All right, I just want to speak on the agenda.
Okay, can you have a seat? We're gonna finish this and I'll call you up. You can speak in a minute.
That's no problem.
The public comment occurs prior to any vote. That's what the statute says. You just called for a vote.
She called for a vote on to accept the agenda. Was that your comment
Yes.
relative to the agenda?
Yes. All right, my name is Freddie Phillips. I'm here in representation of my concerns concerning the agenda. I've been following this board for at least 8 years through the sound off. And one of the things that I've noticed that there's no financial approval. Now, I sat on the auctioneer license board for 8 years, and one of the things we had consistently on there was the approval of the financials. But yet, I don't see it on here, and it hasn't been on here. So my recommendation is going forward that this board would include the financials on there. If not, I've instructed Mr. Burns, who is willing to do what I've asked him to do and request those minutes every month and publish them so that the public can see where the financials are spent and what they're being spent on. So I'm just asking the board to put that on the agenda because if I'm sure, based on what I saw at the House and the Senate, when asked about information, nobody could provide it. And as a result of that, I think the public need to know, and especially the members of this community need to know where the money is being spent and what it's being spent on. If I ask some of y'all right now what the financial look like, probably couldn't tell me. So that's something that I'm requesting that this board going forward may consider and bringing that disclosure to the public so that they'll know where this money is being spent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, Madam Chair, I'd like to follow up.
What was your name? I'm sorry.
My
Robert.
name is Freddie Phillips.
Freddie Phillips.
Yes.
Good morning. Many of you know me as Robert Burns, some of you don't. Briefly, my background is I am an inactive CPA, so I too would echo the sentiments that there should be an approval of financials at every meeting. I will say that I was somewhat, or more than somewhat, taken aback at the apparent lack of knowledge of the financials for this board, and I believe that could be remedied by requiring an approval of the financials. As he mentioned, we served together at the LALB. That's what led to the formation of the blog that I now have. And at every meeting, we had what's called in the banking circles a daily flash sheet. All it is a printout of the ledger balances on that day. Nothing's made for adjustments, but it gives a good idea of where the board stands, both from a balance sheet standpoint and from an income statement standpoint. I think
What
that
did you call it again? A daily flash?
it's called in banking circles a daily flash statement. You may want to call it a different name, but it's basically a printout of the ledger balances. And I appreciate you taking notes, I really do.
Like the previous month.
Well, it can do it by day. It can do it literally by day. And that's the way we did it at the LALB. For instance, if you printed one out today, the income's going to be next to nothing because we just started a brand new fiscal year. We're only 1 week into it. Obviously, it would be more meaningful as it goes by month, to see how you're doing. I did not make a secret of the fact that I did not believe that the fee increase that was approved was warranted. I made no secret of that. I know at one time there were discussions to raise that fee to as much as $100. I think that the board was quite fortunate to get the $10 that it got because, as he mentioned, there's been no documentation whatsoever. Madam Chair, I know that after the meeting you asked me if I ever did get the documentation with regard to an estimated cost for the building repairs and also for the computer upgrades, the police provide you a copy. You may remember as I was scanning some other public records, you made that request to me. You have my word. You have my word. You will get that when I get it. I have made, on behalf of myself and Reverend Phillips, public records request of the Senate Commerce Committee. That was done to Ms. Yolanda Dixon because I find it a little bit incredible that it took less than a week to throw together something that these committee members were allowed the privilege to see. And here we are, almost a month after the session is over, and we can't see it. The public, I'm not saying they're not going to provide it, they need to. Ms. Dixon has indicated that unless senators provide specific exclusions for why they do not want it presented, I will get it. I'm not sure when. It would seem like it would be a fairly easy request since it was readily allegedly presented to each of these senators. I know it was not the board who did that. That's another interesting observation that I would make. But make no mistake, I intend to get whatever documentation was submitted to those senators because that's what changed the vote. I realize that when you bring in a prominent lobbyist like Ryan Haney, that changes everything, and I think it did in this instance. But I flatly do not believe that that fee increase was warranted. And I'll wrap up with this because I don't want to indulge too much on your time. I don't have eyes in the back of my head. So when I gave testimony at that vote, well, twice to the Senate Commerce Committee and once to the Governmental Affairs because it had to be reconciled because it did call for a fee increase. I don't have eyes in the back of my head. However, I do have the luxury of watching that testimony after the fact. I'm just going to tell you, I am an inactive CPA. I have analyzed thousands upon thousands of financial statements. It's what I did. It was my career. Okay? And yet when I made statements, I saw heads going back and forth. Those who did that know who they are. That would be tantamount, in my opinion, to me walking into a salon and getting next to a chair and saying, look, you're not doing this curl right. I would never do that because I don't know what I'm doing. And I would submit that those who had those heads going in a horizontal direction would have grave difficulty obtaining a score of 30 on the CPA exam. I will close with this. I passed the CPA exam on my first attempt. I'm not bragging on myself, but I'm bringing this up only because having your knowledge openly questioned in a manner like that is not pleasing. It's an area that I have the expertise to speak on. I spoke on it. I realized it was not in agreement with what this board wanted. That's the way the cookie crumbles. I can tell you this, I'm pleased that he made that recommendation, and I will do as he has asked me to do. If it's not on agendas going forward, I am going to make a public records request for a daily flash statement for the date of the board meeting, and I'm going to publish it. Because I want not only the licensees of this board, they're owed a duty. That's their money. They're owed a duty. And I can tell you that there are many licensees who are not happy with this board right now. Look, I don't sugarcoat. I know the Advocate has published 2 fluff pieces within the last 3 weeks. One on Neal Corporation and another one on a new salon opening up that has a unique, something to do with the head. I read it, but I don't remember all of these. But you know what I'm talking about?
I think I do.
Okay, it's something to do with the head. That's how unknowledgeable I am about the specifics of the industry. But I count on experts who do know, okay? I'm glad you do recognize it. So that was the second of the two cloth pieces. But that's not what I do. That's not what Sound Off does. And look, I try to make sure I report facts. That's why I make as many public records requests as I do. I don't like to go out there spouting off things I can't substantiate. I appreciate the opportunity to have addressed you, and I hope that what he has sought will be taken with what I believe should be and him indicating put that for the next agenda sounds good, because I think most any board or commission does approve financials at every meeting. And as he said, I've been coming here 8 years,
Yeah.
and I've never seen it. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address you.
And just to comment back on what you're saying, we are in the process of getting that added to the agenda, but I'm glad you both came and recognized that and wanted it for the public, because we are planning on doing that. We're working on getting the right statement print out for you guys.
Very good. And then you made my day. Thank you very much.
Moving on to the disposition of the minutes. Well, we did. Did we go ahead and redo it? No. Okay. All right. So, acceptance, okay, we did that. Disposition of the June 2nd, 2025 board meetings, minutes. Everybody get a chance to.
I make a motion to accept the June 2nd board meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And move on to the business of schools.
The first is Stellar Beauty Studios and Institute. They would like for us, or you guys as a board, to have some sort of policy for hybrid learning in case of emergencies. Y'all see the letter in the packet.
Yes.
Members of the board, this would just be a letter, since NACAS, when schools wish to be approved, they are requesting a letter that states from the board that in case of an extreme emergency where the school was flooded, the school was tornado hit, that there would be a period of time that the students could learn online for a limited period of time. And that's what they're asking.
I personally don't think that is something that is needed to be done by the board. I know that the only time that we've done that has been with COVID a few years ago, and I think that this letter could maybe open that up for schools to be able to do it. I think that if it is a true emergency and the governor of Louisiana has declared us in a state of emergency, that the board can announce that just as we did during COVID. I don't know that just because we lose power for a couple of days, we should be able to go hybrid. So I think this letter opens up a can of worms.
So, on an individual basis.
On an
all
individual
everybody
basis,
needs
of
to do
course.
it.
If
Yeah.
somebody is, of course, dealing with, like the flooding we had a couple of years ago up north, not up north, but in northern Louisiana, come to the board, reach out to the board, we're here for that, but I think that giving that letter just gives too much leniency and too much freedom, yes.
Yeah, I had an incident several years ago where a UPS truck ran through my building. You know, we were shut down for 3 weeks to locate and relocate, and all we had to do was call the board. We got the approval. NACAS gave us guidelines that we had to follow, and it was just on an individual one-to-one basis as each incident occurs.
And I know through which I think she's COE, actually not NACAS, but through either accredited body, you should still be listed as 100% traditional learning. Hybrid should be nowhere listed on there at all.
All right. So, do we make a motion to deny this letter?
Make a motion to deny this letter.
All in favor? Any opposed?
All right, next we have the Ritz Academy. They would like the approval of the AACS Continuing Education Seminar for their instructor CEUs for this year.
I like it.
I make a motion to approve the AACS Continuing Education Seminar for the Ritz.
And I say,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I won't go myself.
Okay, next is just to inform you guys, Blue Cliff College Alexandria location will be closing. They should be closing around December 2026. They just sent in a notice to let y'all know.
Didn't one of them close last month?
Yes, the Lafayette location.
Okay.
All right, next we have Paul Mitchell, the school Baton Rouge. This is final approval of their satellite classroom. We had already gotten the preliminary approval, so this is the final inspection. And we have Aaron here if you need any questions, have any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Aaron?
I make a motion to move forward with the final approval of Paul Mitchell satellite classroom.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Congratulations. Okay, we're moving on to the consent agreements.
Good morning, everybody. All right, our first consent agreement is for Myronica Brackens. Yep,
Can we rewind a little bit?
yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. I wanted to let Ms. Kenya do her presentation before we got into
Sure.
that. I got a little ahead of myself, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Sorry, I did got caught in my dress.
Sit down.
There we go. Thank you. Good morning to the Louisiana State Board of Cosmetology and to any members of the Louisiana Board of Barber Examiners who may be present today, and to the guests as well, good morning. I would like to thank Ms. Tisha Butler for placing me on today's public board meeting agenda. Firstly, I'd like to begin today's item agenda by formally introducing myself. My name is Kenya Ross, and I currently reside in my hometown, Monroe, Louisiana. I'm a former local television reporter, now working for the local tourism bureau. Outside of my day job, I'm in the pre-launch phase of my health technology startup called MyExcuse. Now, before I get into why I'm here today, it's important for you to know first what MyExcuse is. It's a website and mobile application currently live in the Apple App Store and Google Play Console for Android users. It's an app created for healthcare providers to send legitimate digital doctor's excuses directly to their patient schools, employers, or any location where the patient needs their doctor's excuse to go. MyExcuse has a bold mission to permanently rewrite the doctor's signature on a patient's doctor's excuse to terminate forged signatures, administrative burnout, and non-essential doctor's appointments in short-staffed physical medical facilities for good. MyExcuse is the new doctor's excuse. MyExcuse is the new doctor's signature. Our vision is to challenge the world to accept no excuses in life, only a doctor's excuse. We're making it possible for patients to finally write their own doctor's excuse without needing a doctor's signature while still maintaining the excuse's legitimacy. As we know, healthcare providers have a way to excuse their patients from work or school whenever they need time off to recover from an illness, or simply to provide an excuse if a patient needs to show proof they've spent time away to attend their doctor's appointment. With this technology currently in place, and with the help of the Louisiana State Board of Cosmetology and Board of Barber Examiners, I want to grant licensed cosmetologists, braiders, and barbers who specialize in Afro-textured hair the ability to excuse their clients from work whenever their hair needs to be maintained. This is why I'm creating a special feature on my Excuses app called Hair Day Excuse. Hair Day Excuse is why I'm here at today's public board meeting. The implementation of Hair Day excuse will have the high potential to drive impact in the state of Louisiana for the hair care industry in these 4 areas: innovation, social, economy, and continuous regulation of the industry. Let's start with innovation. The Hair Day excuse is a feature set to be designed for licensed cosmetologists, barbers, and braiders, particularly cosmetologists, barbers, and braiders specializing in afro texture and protective styling to send a legitimate digital hair day excuse directly to their client's employer that subscribed to the app. This would function just like the delivery of the digital doctor's excuse. Individuals, commonly women, with this kind of textured hair or protective style will benefit from this division of my excuse when they need time off from their employer to get their hair done at the salon by a licensed cosmetologist, barber, or braider. I say women, but we don't want to exclude men who grow out their afro textured hair and are in need of maintenance for their professional settings. Secondly, social impact. The vision of the Hair Day excuse special feature of my excuse is to allow licensed cosmetologists, barbers, braiders, and their afro textured clients to spend the day at the salon and not a night at the salon. Hairstylists who specialize in afro textured hair often spend late hours in the salon whenever they're achieving styles such as braids, twists, locks, coils, and other styles that require excessive time under the dryer. Imagine an individual with this hair texture getting off from work at 3 p.m. if they work in education, or 5 p.m. if they work in a different setting, and they go to their hair appointment. They're likely to leave the salon late at night, both the client and hairstylist, which is what my late great-grandmother did when she was a licensed a licensed hairdresser for nearly 4 decades in the state of Louisiana. Her name is Mrs. Annie Mae Ford Price. She was the owner of Price's Beauty Shop on 2101 Grandmont Street in the city of Monroe. It's located in Monroe's oldest African American community. Although the shop is no longer in operation, the structure still stands today and it's now listed on the National Register of Historic Places. My mother, Kim Ross, who is the granddaughter of Mrs. Price, is the one responsible for having it placed on the National Register of Historic Places, which makes her the primary preserver, and this is my mom right here. However, the structure is owned by Mrs. Price's 3 living elderly children, 2 daughters in Monroe, and her youngest son is in Lexington, Kentucky. While Annie Mae worked as a licensed cosmetologist at Price's Beauty Shop, she often worked late in the night because she provided services to the women who worked full-time during the week. While she worked on Saturdays, which accommodated most working women, there were still those who missed the Saturday slot due to full bookings. This Hair Day excuse feature would allow licensed cosmetologists, barbers, and braiders to serve as more full-time professionals during normal working hours at the salon so they can spend time with their families once 5 p.m. or at least 6 p.m. hits. Thirdly, the economy. For the next phase of the preservation, Kim, my mom, has plans to remodel the shop, place a plaque on the property, and host a community unveiling and celebration of the restored Price's Beauty Shop. Buildings or structures that are placed on the National Register of Historic Places help increase the property value of those neighborhoods. After the restoration of the shop and its unveiling, Kim will continue her own independent efforts to transform the restored shop into a tourist attraction for beauty enthusiasts, professionals, or anyone interested in viewing a space frozen in time from the mid-50s until the mid-70s. This time frame represents the era where Black women gather in salons like Price's Beauty Shop to discuss social advancements towards the civil rights movement. Additionally, the Hair Day excuse feature will not only be designed for those who are licensed, but more importantly, those who are licensed and working inside a hair salon. This will motivate licensed hairstylists who may be working out of their houses to either open their own salon, rent a suite at a salon, or become employed at salons operated by corporate companies. For example, JCPenney or Ulta Beauty. This means getting more licensed salons and licensed hairstylists specializing in Afro textured hair overseen by the state boards. Which brings me to my final area of focus, continuous regulation. This proposed collaboration among my excuse, the Louisiana Board of Cosmetology, and Louisiana Board of Barber Examiners aims to incentivize licensure among cosmetologists, barbers, and braiders specializing in Afro-textured hair and protective styling. This incentive would help lessen illegal hairstyling and braiding in the state of Louisiana. So today I'm asking the Louisiana State Board of Cosmetology to consider the following. Number one, partner with My Excuse to mandate the Hair Day Excuse feature for licensed salons and cosmetologists specializing in Afro-textured hair. Secondly, if the board approves to mandate the Hair Day Excuse feature, my first group of employers that I will target are the school districts in the state of Louisiana. I will ask for the board to write a letter of intent to use the My Excuse Hair Day Excuse special feature. I will then use this letter to deliver to the Louisiana Department of Education with the goal of them adopting this technology for school districts across the state. I want to close out by saying that here at My Excuse, we're a two-person team as of now. We're currently supported by the Louisiana Small Business Development Center in Monroe, Louisiana, in the Entrepreneurial Accelerator Program in Shreveport, Louisiana. Because of this support, I'm able to virtually deliver any other key items that the board may need to consider when deciding to partner with My Excuse and mandating the Hair Day Excuse feature. Example items include financial projections, the competitive advantage when competing with other hairstyling apps, social media marketing for the Louisiana State Board of Cosmetology, and an effective date of the start of the partnership. I have on me a USB drive that holds the proposal that includes highlights on hair inequality or other information that complements today's speech. I'm hoping Louisiana can become the first state where licensed hairstylists who specialize in Afro-textured hair can legitimately excuse their clients from work to get their hair done without those clients having to use vacation time, paid time off, or even sick days. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sonia. Thank you. There's lots of things to consider. Yes. So I will ask if the board will take this. Okay. Excuse me.
I just want to point out, and that was a lovely presentation, by the way. Thank you. I just want to point out that because you guys regulate safety and sanitation, unless Sherry disagrees, this doesn't fall under safety and sanitation, that we cannot require or mandate a salon to use the app. It's just beyond our scope and our jurisdiction. Like we don't have the right to do that, unfortunately. We can't. Yeah. You disagree, Sherry?
We'd have to see the proposal. However, the board can't really partner with a private business to promote the private business is what I was concerned about. But certainly your idea would, you marketing it to the salons would be something that you could certainly do.
Yeah, we're definitely not opposed to that at all.
I'm sorry, and I guess that's what I wanted to learn about. Is that something that I could create as a private business to market to hair salons? Because I wouldn't know if hair salons would take heed to that without the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Because we do locks and natural hair, so when you're talking about it, it was something that, most of our clients are professionals, and what they do is they're on Zoom. So a lot of times they're on Zoom in the chair. So we get it, and we also offer night. Because of that, we know our clients don't want to be in the salon on a Saturday. They got families and everything else. So that's why we're incorporating those things as well. So yeah, we'll talk to you after but I think you going into the salons would probably be your best bet.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we'll move into
And it's just that.
So the first one we have this morning is for Veronica Brackens. This is a violation from August 4th, 2023 for operating an unregistered cosmetology salon. Ms. Brackens entered into a consent agreement where she will pay a fine of $200 plus cost of $350 for a total of $550 along with a 1-year probation. And she has paid the fine and signed the consent agreement. The next two go together. This is Shalana Patel and Eyebrow Threading and Salon. This is a violation from March 14th, 2025 for having an unlicensed worker in the salon. Both the salon and the owner, Ms. Patel, entered into consent agreements where they would pay a fine of $200 plus cost of $350 for a total of $550 each, which is a total of $1,100. Plus the 1-year probation on each of their licenses. They have both signed the consent and paid the fine. The next one is Heather Gadarian. This is a violation from January 9th, 2025 for operating an unregistered salon. She failed to register the change of location prior to providing services in the new location. She agreed to a consent agreement where she will pay a fine of $200 plus $350 in cost for a total of $550 plus a 1-year probation. And she has paid the fine and signed the consent. The next two go together. This is Tao Win and Lacquer Beauty Lounge. This is a violation from October 4th, 2022 for having an individual that was licensed as a manicure performing lash services without an aesthetics license. Both the salon and the individual entered into consent agreements where they will pay they will pay fines of $200 plus $350 in cost for a total of $550 each. And each of their licenses will be placed on probation for a 1-year period. They have both signed the consents and paid the fine. The next two go together. This is Lee Zwan Nguyen and Bella Cure Nail Bar and Spa. This is a violation from October 8th, 2024 for having 2 unlicensed workers in the salon. The consent agreements provide that they will each pay fines of $200 per violation, which is so $400 plus $450 in cost, so that is $850 each. Plus they will each have their licenses placed on probation for a 1-year period. They have signed the consents and paid the fine. And then the last two go together. This is Hung Nguyen and Pretty Nails 2. This is a violation from February 15th, 2024. As you will see in the consent agreement, there is a prior violation from January 22nd, 2021 for having an unlicensed worker. They did a consent agreement at that time where they paid the $550 and had a 1-year probation. The 1-year probation ran from July of 22 through July of 23, so they were not on probation at the time of this new violation. So this consent agreement provides for a fine of $200 plus cost of $350 for a total of $550 each. Since they did have a prior violation, we did an 18-month probationary period, and they have to post a copy of the consent agreements inside of the salon. And they have paid the fine and signed the consent agreements.
I make a motion to accept the consent agreement as she has presented.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Move on to deputy order, Ms. Sherry.
We still don't have the Attorney General's opinion on gathering some information that I'm gonna send to them to try to supplement, the case that was relied upon, to request the declaratory order. There was some discussion, some of the, other licensing associations, so I'm trying to, I couldn't attend the meeting, but I'm trying to obtain those materials and send them to the Attorney General, so hopefully I'll be able to do that before next meeting.
So we move on to the order of your business. monthly. If the board is in agreement, it's my recommendation that we start August 1st, 2025. The office will email all the schools, obviously, be online, and that will be changed by August 1st. So we have to go through a printing to send out notices through the state, to state agency that they use. Correct?
The Division of Administration has a printing section. That section currently handles all the board's mail, and they also do printing. So they do the printing and the postage.
It's been recommended that we take the first quarter birthdays, August, September, October, November, send out that batch of notices first through the mail. If the board is in agreement with that. Yes, ma'am?
People that are late, people who renew early, that's gonna require an office to return all that money. That's gonna be like thousands.
If Sharon and I were having a little conversation in regards to that. I don't think we have to return.
We can't, we'd have to write letters for all those people.
Just still money,
And
like we're returning.
we don't even take partial payments. When they pay, like, let's say they owe 25 or if it's for a salon, and they send in $25, we return it and tell them to send 30. Like, we don't take partial payments.
Well,
On some of them, if you have a phone number, can you contact them? I know some of them don't have phone numbers.
Most of them we don't. Most of them, if they send in a renewal slip, there isn't even an area for a phone number. If they send in a lost renewal form, there's no area for a phone number either.
We have a lot of people that have
That do it early?
Do it early, yeah.
Yeah. Like we even return when it's too far across the fiscal year, and we return those all the time. So it's like, right now, we have people whose birthday is in November, December, they're renewing now because it's after June 30th. Yeah, it's after July 1st. So, I think that the work and the postage alone is gonna be like a very, very large amount of money and time to just return that much mail. That's why we were trying to like get them all out, you know, like everybody at once. Because it's not like, even if you did like quarters, it's still gonna be the same fiscal year. So it's still gonna be the same fiscal year. I get that we haven't made the money yet, but just a thought.
Yeah, there were different ways of approaching it, so that's why it was up for discussion this morning, this way to approach it, because, you know, you have to return the money that's coming in that you depend on, when the money goes back out, you have to wait for the money to come back in, which is a problem in itself.
Yeah.
So, I know we don't accept partial payments, but I wouldn't really consider this a partial payment if it's with the changeover from the license fee increase. Is it out of bounds to say that we can accept their $25 and then
Send them a letter?
send them a
They
letter,
still
or,
have-
yeah,
Still have the
but they're still
postage to send
responsible.
Cost is
letter
purchase.
anyway. I mean, if you're sending a letter, you're already incurring the postage cost, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so you could accept it as a partial payment. I don't know how your accounting system is set up or your computer system, but creates a problem administratively. The effective date of the legislation was June 20.
So what date were y'all looking at?
August 1st. August 1st.
So I know we've talked about technology and everything before, so has the board looked into how much would a program cost in order to make this automated for everyone? So that way, if there is a balance, that's owed, it's like, oh, you pay $25, but you still owed $5. And so that way it's documented, that no money's being returned, you're not losing anything, but they owe $5 or whatever their balance is, or whatever the fine is past the date that they paid, right?
Things
Yeah.
that we're trying to work on
Right.
to make all this possible.
Right.
So it is all in the works, so we're just trying to maneuver our way into how do we make this transition as smoothly as possible and as cost effective. So, yeah, we are trying.
What's the time frame for that as well?
It depends on when we get our estimates back, depending on other people and waiting.
Right.
Sometimes it doesn't happen as time as you.
Then she's asking about like the upgrade of like technology and stuff like that. We didn't get a full increase, so it's not like we're about to go and get like new stuff or a new system or this barely scratched the surface. So if that's what she's asking, then that's not a thing right now. Like, we didn't get enough money for that. Yeah.
Right, it's gonna take some time for the fee increase to be effective, to see a change in
That's like some years.
revenue, and it's
Yeah.
gonna take some time of adjustment to, get the word out that the fee increase applies, and we have a lot of licensees that are just used to sending in their renewals, and they've already got the renewals.
The notice has been put on our website, so, is it the board's recommendation that we pass the effective date next month? It's me put here.
I think whether we do it August 1st or September 1st, we're gonna be dealing with the same battles. I think it's just, any transition is gonna take some adjustment. I think we have to start somewhere. So I don't think we fought for the last year for our increase to just keep waiting even longer.
I think if we're sending a letter about it increasing, maybe something about if you've already sent it in, you just need to send the $10 difference. Like, that's one postage.
Right.
Put all of that, like, we'll accept it, just send the extra 10 by your birthday, the expiration date. So then
Madam
it's one
Chair.
postage, so they get that notice at the same time.
We're trying to get your attention.
Yes. Has the board notified the industry of the approval of the increase or I'm just asking a question. Has the board, okay. With that being said, then returning money that people have already sent in would be feasible. Just sending out a notification, as what she suggested, is to pay the $10 and then going forward, get more publications out to everybody catches up. Catches on. Yeah, that's probably the most feasible way of going about doing it, because you just can't make a change and everybody stops
Right,
what they're
exactly.
doing. You just gotta give them time to catch up.
Right.
And all of us have some slowness in us.
I
Yes.
think also send people money back, a lot of that's gonna be a loss. And then you're waiting for more money. I think it's better to hold on to it and wait for $10 versus waiting on money to come back. I think that's the thing, like, if it's lost, it's just a lot of money to be chasing.
So we're saying we'll start it August 1st, and we're gonna send out a letter to people stating the change, asking for the additional money you have.
If you've already sent it in,
30 days?
or by the,
Put all the information in that one letter.
all of it in that one, so it's one postage.
Every time you do an
Yeah.
because they'll know.
We also put it on our website.
The notice of the increase is, we have not put the effective date yet, but the notice of increase is in red on the front page.
Put on the postcard, see the board's website for more information, so. Doesn't matter how much you put on there, there's still people gonna say that
Have
they
we
didn't
gotten
see
any
it.
estimates at all? Have you got any estimates for postage through,
Well, we have, but we can't take them,
Yeah, we have to go through the state.
because Sherry says we have to go through.
So you have to use the Office of State Printing unless you get an exemption. So if and there's a form on the internet for you to submit the request. So I think you would need to know approximately how many you were mailing at one time, the cost of the printing probably depends upon the amount. And then they can give you an estimate. If you have, I would guess that if you have estimates from other companies and they're substantially less than what the state would charge, that they might allow the exemption. But Without an exemption, how to use state rate.
So we have not contacted state committee yet.
Okay, I have a question. So we're gonna send out a postcard to everyone whose birthday is August through December. And then eventually we're gonna send out a from January to the end of July, correct? Like it'll be 2 batches. Are we gonna do everyone at once?
That's, I think, what's being discussed, but you have the salons and the schools review in January, correct? And then the others are on rolling dates because it's your birthday. So it's 2 different things you have to decide. When are you gonna send the salons and when are you gonna send?
I say send it all at one time.
Why not? Let's do it already. Across everything. You gotta know like either way. Enrollment, that's now 20 instead of 10. There's 10 individual salons, 5, yes, students, all that's the same. Everyone's on 10, yeah. And then the salon. Okay.
Yeah, I say do it all at once, so make it simple. See website for more information.
Did you all send in a request for a cost estimate?
Yes.
Yes, but we just have to receive it at the holiday. Maybe it'll come this week.
Yes. So, if the board agrees, we'll still do the date effective August 1st, 2025. The letter will be sent out as a whole batch, not in a quarter. Notification of the $10 fee increase. Making a notation that if anybody has paid early, that they would just have X amount of days, whichever we find is reasonable, to send in the balance. Okay, because sending the money back, I don't think is
Yeah.
30 days.
30 days to what?
Okay,
To
to
send in
send
the
in the
balance.
balance.
Yeah. What if they've already sent it in for November? You know, like, would they have 30 days?
Yeah,
They're already renewed, they're already
Yeah, from the 30 days from the day that they
Yeah.
received the letter from board.
I think you're better, like, saying October 30th,
Yeah.
like, just picking a
Maybe
date
so.
based upon when they think
when
they
you
can
send
send
it.
it out. If they think they can do the mailings, so, August 1st,
Pick a
and
date,
give them
September.
30 days or something.
September 1st.
It's just printed on the postcard.
Yeah.
Because everybody will get them different days or not when they got them.
What happens if they don't send it in by then? Is there a penalty?
Yeah.
April 30th?
At that point, they're probably late.
Approximately 30 days, like at the end of the month, the mailing.
It also depends on their birthday too, so that's like not written in stone. Because let's say if it goes effective August the 1st and their birthday is in December and they send it in August, they technically are not late.
That's my concern.
Yeah,
that they're
until-
not late until their birthday.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying.
So if it's more than
make it the
30
late
days,
fee,
then
they're
we'll just wait
original.
until their birthday.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to, like 30 days, if it's still not even expired yet. You're
Yeah.
already like, could catch a late fee and it's not even expired yet,
Yeah,
technically.
so if
by
their
your
birthday, if their
The
birthday
ones
is
that
more than
are
30 days away,
paid.
we'll just say their birthday.
Yeah, like if I already paid, let's just say my birthday's December 1st, and now I owe $10 by September 1st, I'm still not even late, and now I have a late fee.
Yeah.
So I say go by the original,
Yeah.
absolutely.
that's what I
Yeah.
think. And then I think it stretches it to where everyone has time to get that. There's no like, when did it go out? When did they get it? When does it due by? You know, just by their
But if it was
original
already
expiration date.
due- If it was already due.
Yeah, if it was already due, I mean, if it was already due, it was already due, but I'm talking these people, like they said, who prepay in December, you know?
Yeah, you wouldn't have.
I wouldn't, yeah, I'd be like, I'm not paying it to my birthday. God, that's how I would be. I would be like, no, I'm not expired,
Yeah.
is what I would say.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. Go by the original expiration date.
I also wanted to discuss, while we were talking about this, the idea of creating our own, like a Facebook page for board. We have one.
Yeah, we do.
We do. We do have one. We need maybe to revisit that.
Put that on there as well, put the news on Facebook. Maybe some people will see.
Because on our website is still So
People
the
might
things that
see
need to
it
be
on
adjusted and
Facebook.
taken down. The forms are still not adjusted. You go to print any school form, it doesn't print correctly.
So we.
Lots of easy fixes that haven't been fixed. A little good and bad.
So, it is my recommendation to maybe add that to the agenda next month, and it's something that we can kind of discuss. Sure. Okay. So, let's go back and recap before we vote on what we agreed for the letter. Start date August 1st. The whole batch at one time, stating the fee increase with the notice that if you paid early, you have 30 days.
Or the expiration of your
Or the expiration of your license is really worded. For the balance. Is there anything else that needs to be added to that? Deborah, you want?
I was only saying, when Josh did the, quote, it didn't say that. Y'all need that on the postcard thing? Okay.
We did like a sample postcard because we had to measure it to fit on it, and we put as much as we could, and it didn't have all of those things, so we'll have to do another one and try to figure that out.
Maybe revise it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not sure.
Will we see a copy of it before it goes out?
I mean, we can email it to you.
Yeah, can we get a copy of it before it goes out?
We can email it.
Okay.
I don't know that it'll change the price, because really they're looking at the mail pieces and the postage.
Oh, it does change the price. They said the more they have to spray on it, they call it spray. The more they have to spray on it, the more the cost increases. And if there's any color involved, it increases there too. So, and they said it's cheaper if you only put addresses on one side and all the info on the other side. So that's what we were trying to do. But we had a chart with all the new, like, current, effective, whatever. We had September 1st, but August 1st, we had a list of what it is now and what it's gonna be. And that barely fit on that card.
You might want to just refer them to the website and put that on the website. I have a card that I just got a jury duty papers, and I can show you, it tells you to go to the website and get the information.
And then maybe on the website, as soon as you get on, that's the first thing you see, so no one has to search for it. Like, they shouldn't be having to figure it out.
It should be there now, like,
It's in red.
Okay, yeah.
Website.
so we're not putting the prices on the card.
Well, if
I think it's a whole lot of wording.
We made a QR code for our salon.
So that's something we can discuss if we need to condense and reword. It's just the basis of what it's gonna state, time frame, how to deal with the extra $10, you know, things like that.
Okay, and then she was saying even a QR code, like visit this and then put a QR code and then it pops right up to that chart, the chart, you know? I mean, it's like QR code creator, like it's pretty, I think it's like a free app at this point now, like, you know.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I think even the jury card probably has one.
It had, I didn't do that one, I just went to the website, but yeah, you had the option.
Yes, sir.
I won't take but a second. And people accuse me of not being on the camera when I speak, so I'm stepping forward. Because it's not fair to others, I guess. But with regard to some commentary that was made with regard to upgrading the website, and the statement being made that, well, we didn't get enough money for that. I have some experts in IT who strongly disagree with that. I know a figure of 250 to 300,000 was thrown out by Mr. Young. Suddenly, when it got to the Senate committee, or the committee that get the final approval, well, that was the Senate Commerce Committee, that figure jumped to $750,000. I am being told by people who would have the ability to know that those figures are outrageous. They've also suggested that this board should do as many other boards have done and contract out the license management. I have previously published on a sound off feature the links for that to be done, for firms that offer that. They're saying that would be far more efficient, and you probably wouldn't have this kind of chaos. I'm not guaranteeing that, but they feel strongly that the board should not be in the business of having to literally manage license renewals. And then the last thing that I want to say is, during that testimony, Senator Mizell, who was the chairman of the committee, made it very, very clear that this board really needs to go through a performance audit. And I would reiterate that Representative Butler made the commitment on camera that that would be done. So I think that doing that will probably indicate a number of efficiencies that are not being exploited. It was not that long ago that this board would shut the website down on weekends, literally. Now, I've gone on the last few weekends, I see apparently they don't have to do that anymore. But for a long time, and I got numerous, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do about it, but the website would go down on the evening of Friday and would not come back up.
Like, what's the why then?
They allegedly, what they said was it was too vulnerable to being hacked if somebody wasn't there to monitor it. Now, I don't know if that's the case or not, but I do know in 2017, when it was first pointed out to me, that's pretty inexcusable to have to shut a website down over a weekend. And it's every weekend, not just once, every weekend. So at least some advancement has been made there, because I've checked on weekends and now it is up. But I think that's an indication of how woefully behind the efficiencies are in this office. And I think a performance audit will give you great guidance. Senator Mizell made that point several times. And I want to again stress that Representative Butler, as part of getting this $10 fee increase through, committed that would be done. And I don't know how you can make a statement that, well, we don't have the money to do that, when there is yet to be the first element of documentation. I'm talking about authoritative of what this would cost. I mean, we're on July the 7th. I have nothing. I have his verbal statements of $250 to $300, which I have filmed and I referenced in that testimony. We have the verbal statements that were made that was supposedly based on an estimate for doing it that inflated all the way to $750,000. I'm not willing to accept any verbal statement about what that would cost, because I want to get it in writing. That's why I've kept after the Senate Commerce Committee. I want the documentation, and I am going to present it to those experts who have told me that those figures are outrageous.
I agree. I have asked myself for those numbers and what it would cost, and I've also asked the question, like, because we're a state entity, do we have to do state, is there a certain contractor, is there a certain IT company that we have to use? So I think that we are in the process of getting those official statements, because I have the same questions as you. I want those numbers. I want it done. I want to see it happen. I'm still waiting for those numbers as well, but don't think that we're not trying.
Well, I appreciate that, and it makes me feel like it's not so much me against y'all.
It shouldn't be you against us, because everything you just said I agree with mostly wholeheartedly. I would like to see those things happen as well. So.
And I'll point out one large board that has successfully gone with, I'm contracting out, that being the State Board of CPAs. Every year I renew mine, and I mean, it's like 2 minutes. I go in, I check questions and say I haven't been pled guilty to a felony or things of that nature. Remit the credit card payment, I think it's $50. In fact, I'm fairly sure it is. And boom, they send me the confirmation that you've been approved. It's literally within an hour. If you want to go to, because the CPA board is fairly large, if you want to go to the other extreme, the board that he and I used to be on, the auctioneer licensing board, where they only have about 400, give or take, licensees. Ms. Edmonds, the executive director there, has automated everything. I mean, you get a link. Reverend Phillips and I still teach auction school. So I'm going from the smallest boards, because it's only about 400 licensees. For every one the auctioneer licensing board has, y'all have 100, approximately. Think about that for a minute. For every one, y'all have 100. CPA board's a different matter. It's considerably larger, but it's working, and it's working well. So I appreciate y'all allowing me to address y'all because sometimes I don't have very popular messages. And yet y'all have seemed receptive to what I've had to say. So I do appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to point out two things. I don't know if Mr. Burns is aware. You can renew online here now, currently. People can renew online. We haven't made it to where salons can renew online yet, but individuals can renew online. So even as antiquated as our system is, that is an option.
We do outsource that to Star.
Paystar, yeah. And the second thing is that we've never, like Mr. Steve may or may not have misquoted and said website, I don't know, I can't remember, but we've never given a number for how much it would cost to upgrade the website. That $700,000 was for programming. I know it probably should have been made clear to you when you were asking the questions, but I'm telling you that the $700,000 was for programming, for starting a system from scratch that wasn't like an in-house fix-as-you-go kind of patched up system like we have right now. It was for programmers to come in and make it to where maybe it could be outsourced, because right now we can't outsource anything until we get past the whatever we have going on in that room. But that's what the $700,000 was for. So I'm unsure whomever it was that you were talking to, but no, we're not saying that it's going to cost $300,000 or $700,000 to upgrade the website or whatever. It was for programming to get us off the ground from scratch and get us to an updated, which could possibly be more, database, which could possibly be a lot more like automated and stuff like that. And that is charged by the hour with, exactly, with per license, and it's just a very expensive process.
Well, then I want to follow up one brief time. The commentary about what it would cost to upgrade the website is very widely disseminated. That was said to be the key reason that, and instead, I'm talking about on the House floor, so that there's video to back up. So whether it be Steve Young or whether it be anybody, I can produce legislators who said.
They misspoke.
Pardon me?
They misspoke. I'm telling you, it's.
Well, they didn't just rely upon it from themselves. Somebody told them.
They went with the numbers. That's what was told to them. But whomever said it was for the website, I don't remember somebody saying specifically a website. I know the website was discussed, but regardless, I'm telling you, I'm sorry if that was what was conveyed or if that's what it appeared to be. But the $700,000 was programming.
Well, that may be. As I said, in the last fee increase, which was from the Slidell representative, Ms. Dubuisson, she openly said, and several legislators questioned, I think Jean Paul Cousson, I believe, said, that kind of money for a website? So
Yeah, it was not the website.
if there is a misperception out there, it's a very common one.
Gotcha.
That's been disseminated out to the entire House of Representatives.
Well, I don't think
So-
that was the intent. I think
Definitely not.
both things that were probably mentioned along the lines, I haven't gone back and looked at the tapes, but along with the website, yes, our complete database, the servers, all of that, that's where we run into the roadblocks of us not being able to handle things efficiently in the office when it comes to renewing licenses and things like that. So it's the entire system, database, servers, along with our website, because until we do that, we can't do anything with our website to upgrade it to make it more interactive. We need the system behind it.
Because the operating system is so old, right? We can't
Yes,
do anything
that's,
with the.
yeah,
like a
that's,
cell
that's to
phone.
my knowledge.
Really old
That is-
But obvious, I'm
Can't
sorry, you
update
were
it
talking, I
anymore.
didn't mean to interrupt.
Right?
Yeah,
That's what
we've
it's
tapped
like.
out with the servers of where it can be upgraded, so it's.
But obviously, by your own admission, you do have the present ability to renew licenses, and I assume
Yes.
that includes taking
Some.
payment by way of a credit
Yeah,
card.
some.
Yeah,
This is what we do.
individual licenses, yes.
Do y'all have any reason why the apparent participation in doing that is so low?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm assuming based on,
I didn't say.
People renew online all the time.
Mr. Young said it was that I have him on video in testimony saying that the vast majority
What
of people,
about we talk about something else?
Aaron has
This
her
is
hand up.
completely out of order.
because I brought up your name and the fact that you said not many people use it.
No, because
You
you
did.
question every word.
Aaron,
Mr. Young, perhaps I am detail oriented. I was diagnosed obsessive compulsive at a young age. You probably figured that out. Sometimes it may be a detriment, sometimes it's an asset. I view it as an asset. If you want to view it as a liability, so be it. All I know is you said,
This part of the board meeting is over. Why did you?
I didn't even
bring
see this
stuff
on the
back up
agenda.
again?
See a line item, which you're not supposed to just bring things up out of the blue.
That's right, so why are you doing that?
Y'all did it. It was this, how to handle the upcoming fee increase is not a line item on the agenda. I know that many times it's fell under the generic executive director report or legal report, and I've let it slide. But I would suggest there have been numerous open meetings violations by this board, because just having executive director report and just having legal report when you know there are specific items you were going to talk about fails miserably to conform to the open meetings law. It fails miserably. Yes, it does. Okay, Mr. Lawyer.
Okay.
I can show you the litigation I filed in that regard. I haven't done it with this board.
Mr. Burns, I'll take that responsibility, okay?
Okay.
I brought that up, and it wasn't on the line. I'll take that responsibility.
And look, until this happened, you notice I had not gotten adversarial.
We don't really need to, we don't have to get this way.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Because his tone was not very
Yeah.
friendly with me a second ago.
Erin's got her hand up as well.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey. So, Mr. Burns, I just want to thank you for disclosing your personal information, and, I know that that's not difficult. I have 2 kids that are on the spectrum, so I deal with things that I know they home in on things as well, so I understand that personally. What I can say is that the website, you can only renew one type of license. You can't renew multiple. So for somebody like me, I have, it's not capable of, because the programming has to be rewritten. So I can only renew my regular cosmetology license. I can't renew my instructor. I can't renew a school. I can't renew a salon or a spa license. I can only, or a salon manager. I can only renew just my I'm gonna say generic, but it's not, right? My individual cosmetology license, it doesn't have the capability or the capacity that it should. It's a, if you ever watch Harry Potter, because my kids, that's one of their special interests, being autistic, and, we're kind of living in a muggle world, and they need something that's a little bit more like witchcraft and wizardry, and so they have to get to that next level, and I think that that's what, there's a little bit of a disconnect. There were also things, and I totally agree with you, things that were said in legislation that were completely erroneous, like saying the cost of some schools were $40,000 a year, which is not true at all. That's not even close to the amount, right? So there's just a lot of things that I think are, misconceived when we're in those moments, like at the Capitol, and I know that you and I both go there, and we have our own, personal convictions in that way, but I think that honestly, this board has been the most transparent and willing to help grow our industry here and make it so that it is valid, and that you're not getting smoke and mirrors. This is, and you know that too from being here for so many years. But I think that if we did have the capability to pay for multiple types of licenses, that would be great, because I have to renew my cosmetology license online, and then I have to come here and pay another, money order, because I don't have checks for my instructor's license, right? So it's going to eliminate that too, and that's where the postage comes in and all of that. Once they have a database that I feel like you could get notifications and that be sent to your email, then that eliminates all that postage cost too. So long term, it's going to help tremendously, and I think that We just have to get to that place so that there is more of like that cruise control and there isn't as much confusion, because it is confusing. I understand that, you know? That's all I had to say.
And I want to say this, we are all a new board. We're all new, and we're going to make mistakes. I heard y'all misspoke whenever I was watching testimony, and I went to testimony. I did not attack anyone. I'm not going to go after anyone. We all make mistakes. We all get nervous when we get up there. So we're human. There's a level of human. Keep in mind, I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I booth rent. This affects me. This system that I have to use as a board affects me as well. Like, I'm not just like, whatever. It affects me. It affects me. I want this. I go to work with 10 other stylists who complain. I go to Salon Centric and they're like, I heard you're on the board now. I hear it. We're working on it. You know, nothing's instant. As I tell my kids, there's no instant gratification in life. None. So we just, day by day. And keep in mind, we're all working too. We're full-time employees at our other jobs, as well as, I'm pretty sure everyone here is a parent. So, like, please know, this is not our full-time job. As much as we would love to dedicate this much time to it and do all of this stuff, we're doing this at night while our kids are watching a movie. I'm reading board meetings. So just please keep that in mind. This is not my full-time job. My heart's here, but physically I can't sit there and do everything I would like to do. But do know it affects all of us because we're all in the industry as well.
I understand, and the only thing I would say is I've been covering this board for 8 years, and I think it's been 6 years since I last opted to address the board. Most of the time, I sit here quietly and I videotape. The last time I recall doing this was, I believe, in 2019. So this is very out of the norm. But I felt strongly enough about the things that were presented this legislative session. Obviously, there was one other initiative that I'm not even mentioning, that being the hair braiding. But the sentiments I express are often the sentiments of a lot of folk who are both in the industry as well as who aspire to be in the industry. And as I said to Senator Mizell, she asked me if I go to all the boards, and I said no. I go to the ones based on me receiving complaints. And believe it or not, y'all are only second place. The more, and I told that to her, the one that gets far more attention is the Louisiana State Police Commission. So you can probably figure that they feel like they're scrutinized pretty heavily, and by my own admission, they are. That's what I do. And I thank you in pointing out yours, because I know my traits can be aggravating by my own admission. My mother put up with it all of her life. But while I am meticulous, I do it because I want accurate reporting. And I have made a few mistakes, and I can show them to you, and I have gone in and I have owned them, because I think that's important if you're going to have credibility. So with that, I know I've taken up a lot of y'all's time. That was not my intent, but y'all know a lot more about me now probably than you did in any prior meeting. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And I have the utmost respect for you all. And I'm a pastor. I'm also a state certified instructor with the Department of Education. We're not here for anything other than transparency. And I think the public needs to know that. And the only thing I can say is I appreciate each and every one of you all for sitting here and being a part of this board. But in no way are we here to rigidly attack anybody. We deal with facts. I started an organization called the Louisiana Association of Professional Auctioneers. First African American school in the nation, first online school in the nation. I'm an educator. And we're just transparent. If you go out and look at those things that I put out there, nothing is hidden. Because I feel if you're hiding something, then you don't want other people to see. And this is a state board where everything should be transparent. And I asked for those numbers the first time I went to the legislature. I haven't gotten numbers yet. And I deserve that because I'm also a contractor. So I can look at things and say whether or not these estimations are correct just based on my expertise. And I didn't get anything. And all I'm saying is, Madam Chair, I got the utmost respect because you own up to it. That's integral. You didn't try to hide it. You did what was right. And I appreciate that. because that's transparency.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so.
Before you vote on the method of handling the fee increase, you need to, we need a motion to add that item to the agenda for the reason that the urgency of the matter dictates that it be handled before the next meeting. You need a motion to add the methodology of handling the fee increase transition to the agenda, and the reason that you would need to add it to today's agenda would be that the urgency of the matter, the legislation became effective June 20th, and you will not meet again until August, and there's a need to inform the licensees prior to the next meeting.
So,
Okay, so I make a motion, let me see if I'll work this right, let me go for it, all right. So I make a motion to add us sending out the postcards, as simplify this as best possible. The discussion and everything,
because of the urgency.
because of the urgency.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So now that we've added that to the agenda, we will now take a vote on the postal information. Someone make a motion.
Okay, so you're saying start August 1st, whole batch with the, do a whole batch with the fee increase, 30 days to pay the difference or expiration date, and maybe put a QR code and website.
Is that your motion?
Sure, that is my motion.
Second her motion.
I'm just making sure I have it right now.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to Executive Director report. Information.
You had, last meeting, we handed out to you the contracts to be renewed for Sherry Morris and for James Raines and for Roy Abear. So at this time, I would like to ask that the board would approve the contract of Sherry Morris for 3 years at $75,000.
It's 1 year. 1 year. The Attorney
Sorry,
General.
1 year,
Yeah.
We're going to do them individually.
I make a motion to approve Sherry's contract for 1 year.
A second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
And secondly, the James Raines law firm for $75,000.
I make a motion to approve James Raines' contract.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
And lastly is Roy Abear, who is our CPA company that comes in and checks all of our information on our budget. And that would be $75,000 for 3.
That one is 3 years, right? Okay.
I make a motion to approve Roy Abear's contract.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
That's all you have, Steve? Okay, Sherry, attorney's report.
I don't really have anything to report, and you all are aware of the legislation that passed. Some of it's been discussed, and then the other bills did not make it through the process. So the only thing I believe that is significant and directly related to the board is the fee bill. We don't have currently any pending litigation, and I'll follow up on our declaratory order that was earlier on the agenda.
Anyone else have anything in here? Discussion, everybody's good? All right, we'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone.